When I was in high school, I didn't realize, I mean, we all know you have to pay for college, but in high school, you just kind of felt like, well, everyone just goes from high school to college and it just somehow gets paid for magically. And so it was a really big surprise to me when I had already gotten my acceptance letter to U of O and that I already had dorms, and then my parents were coming in telling me, you know, they'd put a little bit of money away for me, but not enough to help me get through. And then you realize, well, wow, what are you gonna do?
I started out at Clackamas Community College, so I was paying maybe half as much for credits as I am here.
I am glad I went to community college before PSU because it was way cheaper that way.
Financial aid is how I'm paying for school, and I'm going to be paying that off when I'm out of school. My freshman year, I actually had a few scholarships that paid for pretty much all of my schooling. So it definitely takes a lot of hard work, you know, submitting all these different applications to all these different places, but it can definitely pay off in the end.
I joined the military, so I gain state and federal aid from them, as well as the different financial aids that come through Oregon, so I haven't had to take out any loans.
Financing it the first year was extremely difficult. I'd saved enough through working to make it through for about half the year. I was a baker in the dorms, and I managed to get a little bit of grant money, and that got me through the first year.
I was scheduled for like 22 hours a week, and I was taking, this is last term, I was taking like 12 credits, one of which was stats, which I really struggled with, and I had to just had to drop a couple of my shifts.
I would say, like, if you can live at home, do it. I mean, if your parents are generous enough. I mean, if you can avoid trying to pay rent, try to avoid it.
If you can, try to live in the dorms your first year. I did it at Oregon State. It was a lot of fun. You get to meet a lot of new people that are kind of in a similar situation to you, with everybody being new to the school, and it's kind of a good way of building an instant group of people that you know and that you can hang out with. One of the big issues that you can run into is if you have a roommate that you're not very compatible with. And my freshman year, I actually had a roommate that I was good friends with in high school, but it turns out that he was more of a messy type, and I was more of a neat freak, I guess you could say. And that kind of led to a little bit of conflict. To kind of solve those problems, the best thing that you can do is talk about things before they build up and explode.
I would say the dorms were really, really cool for about like 2 terms. After that, I wanted to kind of get out. I ended up just finding this like duplex 2 years ago on Craigslist. It was really hard. It was really hard finding housing. Like, we just ended up getting lucky. The one thing that'll like, I think, prepare me most for adulthood is just like dealing when things break in the house and how to fix leaks and how to fix pipes and stuff like that. Especially when like the landlord we have now doesn't really come out as often as our old landlord. So.
Right now, I live with another roommate in an apartment, but it's definitely been an adventure. I think my freshman year, I lived in my parents' house, but my parents actually moved to Europe. So I got to live in a big old house all by myself. And then they sold the house and moved completely away. So I was definitely a gypsy for like my first 2 years of college. House hopped, couch surfed, went anywhere I could to pay the cheapest amount possible so that way I could still go to school and still have a place to sleep. I think you have to really just reach out and find people that will support you and just do what you have to do.
The first time around, I did not manage my time well at all. Second time around, when I had worked as a garbage man to get there, one thing I did, I took the gloves that I wore on the job that were disgusting by the end of my work there, and I put them sealed them in a plastic bag and pinned them up above my study area. Whenever I felt like slacking off or not doing what I needed to do, I would be like, that's what happens that's what I do every day from now on if I don't make it through this time. I started keeping a calendar and blocking out, first you block out all your class time, then block out like for every I think it still holds for every hour of class you need to spend at least 3 hours out of class. So I would block that time out first and work really hard to make sure I didn't let social things bleed into that.
What I do now is very different than what I did when I was a freshman. But 6 years later, I've learned always write things down and make sure you know when everything is due. Because those due dates they seem so far away at the beginning of the term, but things sneak up on you very quickly.
I have been known to be that person that's in the library all day, every day.
I utilize the computer labs here because it's just a space for me to focus without any distractions. I prioritize. School is number one. Then it's, my relationships, and then it's my extracurriculars.
Get some social time in there, and it'll let you be more productive when you have to buckle down and get your homework done.
And realize that it's okay to say no to your friends. Whatever they want to do, go out, eat, go someplace, that sounds so much better than studying, and you're going to want to do it, but you have to realize that you getting your homework done, making sure that you study for the test, that definitely needs to be priority number one.
One token of advice for my freshman self, I would say, believe in yourself now that you can do it, that all the hard work is totally worth it.
Really value how powerful friends are and your community is.
Make sure you go to class. Those 8 o'clock classes definitely suck, but make sure you go anyway, even if it's something that seems easy. The teacher is going to teach it a certain way or have a certain note in her lectures that you're going to need to know.
Don't regret anything you do in college.
Take care of yourself. Without doing that, you have nothing to offer.
If you want to work hard, sky's the limit. Do anything you set your mind to.
Follow your heart, and you'll be much happier and much more productive.